Alright, what's going on, guys? Trev back again, here to bring you another video. This one's going to be doing the first Q&A for this week leading up to The Walking Dead Season 7, Episode 3, The Cell. In this one, we're going to start with me giving my thoughts on whether or not I think Negan Lucilled Ben's father. And possible spoiler warning if you haven't seen episode 2 for The Walking Dead Season 7 yet. So, yeah, I thought this was a good one to start off with the Kingdom because we did meet quite a few characters in episode 2. And, we're getting to know them, we're getting to know their backstories. And one of the ones that stands out is Ben. Even to the point where Ezekiel asks Morgan to train Ben how to use the staff because of him kind of being close to his father, as Ben explains. And the question for this one came from Raphaël Tremblay, who called it out. He said, "Hey Trev, I have a theory. I think that the person that Negan chose to Lucille in the Kingdom was Benjamin's father. It would make sense because nobody knows anything about what is happening with Negan's group, and it looks like there was not a lot of people with them when they died. So the father of Benjamin maybe decided to be the one to get Lucilled, and he asked for Ezekiel to look after his son before he died." And then we have Matter, who replied. He said, "No, I was thinking that too, but when Morgan asked, Ben said his dad was killed by walkers." So I wanted to weigh in on this one. I think, Raphael, I think you're right, because I had the same thought too when I was watching it. I didn't mention this in the review because I wanted to use it for this video for a whole discussion topic so we could just focus on it. But of course, we know with the Saviors, when they introduce a group, when they break in a group, it's normal protocol for them to kill at least one of the people of that group to show the group that they're not messing around, and that if you don't do what we tell you to do, we're going to kill the rest of you like this. So it makes sense, even if a group is compliant, even if a person like Ezekiel, who is very sociable and is very communicative and could probably handle a situation like that about as well as anybody could, meeting the Saviors, meeting Negan, even still, they usually do kill off somebody. So when we heard from Ben that his dad got supposedly killed by walkers, eight men, this kind of deal, and this happened and that. We know also that the Kingdom has secrets. We know that Ezekiel tells people, it's his philosophy. He tells them what he thinks they need to hear. He makes them feel safe. He makes them feel secure. He doesn't want to tell Ben, of course, that his dad was beaten to death by this dude named Negan with a big baseball bat just to prove a point. He doesn't want to set Ben up like that because, of course, that could cause problems for him. He could try to get revenge for his dad, and the Saviors are not to be trifled with. So I think you're right, Raph, and even though he was told that matter, I still think that most likely that's why Ezekiel has given extra attention to him and even asked Morgan to do that, and why we got to spend that time with the character and kind of find these things out about him, because I do think he's the one who, his dad was the one who was chosen, and Ezekiel probably feels really bad about it, and that's why he probably wants to keep him alive. He wants him to survive because, he feels responsible as the leader of the group, as the leader of the Kingdom, for having, that sacrifice have been his dad. Now, the best he can do, at least, is try to make sure that his son is taken care of. At least, that's the way I see it. It could go either way, of course. We don't know for sure 100%. And he's not a character from the comics, so let's be clear on that. He's a new character for the TV series. I like him. He seems like a nice kid. I like how he's got the machete and he tries to kill. And it makes a lot of sense, too, because if you've ever played baseball or golf or something, especially when you're younger, a lot of times you come up and you just try to smoke the ball as hard as you possibly can, right? Every time you're swinging for the fences, but what you realize is you keep missing, right? Because you put all your force into it. If you're playing golf or something, you put all your power into it, and maybe you slam into the ground rather than hitting the ball right. So you realize that actually what you have to do is not put all your force into it into your swing, whether it be baseball, hockey, whatever. But what you want to do is put a lot of force into it and find that sweet spot where you're putting in maximum effort, but also with the accuracy, so that you're able to strike the ball, you're able to, put in enough power, but not so much power to where you miss. I get the sense when Ben comes down on the zombie that he puts like all his muster, all his strength into it, and he actually misses the head rather than he hits it like right here, rather than kind of being more relaxed with it, finding that medium, strong enough, but accuracy in the right spot too. So I like the kid. He seems like a good kid. There's some other parts in the trailer that we haven't seen from him yet this season that we're going to see. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with him. And, I personally love the theory. I think you're right, Raph, and I thought the same thing. I think that his dad was the one who was Lucilled. See, that's something they could have used for the episode that could have really added intensity to the episode with episode 2. Maybe they could have shown halfway through the episode after a commercial break or something. They could have had a flashback sequence or something related to that where you had Negan and he picked the person out. But then again, you'd have to put a little bit more money into it. You'd have to have Jeffrey Dean Morgan come on and do another shoot for smoking, that his dad with Ezekiel there and everybody. I still think it'd be worth it though, because it sure would make you feel for Ben a lot more, make him feel like more important, because it's like, oh man, that's his kid. Look what happened to him. It was the same thing as Glenn, and But some people might think, oh, it's repetitive because we already saw that with the others. It's like, well, I think it'd be a cool flashback sequence. Anyway, we'll see how that all turns out, and once we find out in an episode, we'll discuss that in a review. But I love the theory, and I think it's correct. I think Ezekiel feels responsible for what happened to his dad, so he wants to make sure, extra careful, that Ben has everything he needs because he feels responsible for it. Infinity said, and he's a great guy. He's been here for years, and he does. I think he makes some videos too, edits and stuff, music videos, this kind of cool stuff. So that's cool. He says a good introductory episode, but ultimately a result of the 16 episode order / low budget AMC gives. This also results in two crowds, the this is boring crowd and the it's character development, don't watch it if you don't like it crowd. That's absolutely true. He's seen it too over the years. I seen it, bro. You're absolutely right. I wanted to throw it in there. Hey, let's not beat it to death. It's a bit of a slower episode. If you liked episode 2, great. There's things in it, like we just talked about, some great character stuff in it that we could see in the start to a good introductory, like you said, a good introductory episode to the kingdom and to what we could see. It's just in such a weird spot in the season, coming after all that momentum in the crazy premiere to this. It just felt like such a weird switch that I can understand why people are upset, and I can understand why people are like, oh, we needed it, it's cool. So it depends on kind of how you feel about it. Right now, I'm fine with it, but I do accept it as being a slower episode, and that's fine. They're doing 16 a year, and we can't expect every episode to be nuts. Not every season will be equal. There's going to be different parts of the series, different seasons, and All Out War is probably going to make all this look like nothing. But we'll see. We'll see how they handle it in the TV series version. Those guys, 349 says, hey Trev, it may have been obvious to others, but I didn't quite understand the whole part about Carol seeing the walkers as human. What is your interpretation of it? And with this one too, you could probably go a couple different ways. You could see it as her hallucinating because she's out of it. You could see it as losing people, kind of like the loss. Because with her, the big thing about her is she probably doesn't want to get attached to people knowing what happens to them. She kind of wants to be off on her own because she's seen it with the prison. She's now, she kind of wants to distance herself as a defense mechanism to protect herself in case a community gets destroyed. So for her, I think she likes kind of being on the outside. It's done well for her in the past, and actually, I'd say every community should probably have that. They should have at least one or two, at least, people that are in different positions around the community, just to keep us a little bit of a spread, to have some safe points and things like that, where you could have people go if shit hits the fan and have them there, or you could have them stay watch or something. It's not a bad thing to have little outposts with at least one or two people here and there. It's a good thing, I think, and it's aided Rick and the others with Terminus as well, too, if you remember her and Therese saving them. But yeah, so my thoughts on her seeing the zombies with the flashing of people. I think it's kind of her kind of losing it, like seeing the darkness in the world to where, and the tragedy in the world, that every single we forget too, right? And I think that was a good reminder. The intro was great in this episode 2. The intro was not bad at all. Awesome intro. Yeah, he has a tiger. It's fun. I think it's seeing the darkness in the world, and it touches on the conversation she has with Ezekiel later, when she just sees the darkness, and she's seeing there the people that become the zombies, and how tragic that is, I want to say. Because, every single person there, every single one there that is a zombie has a backstory. They had a life prior. They were people, and just her compassionate side just weighing down on her, that all these people just feeling empathetically brutal, or just feeling awful for these people, and the tragedy that is them, I think, is what's kind of consuming her right now, is the darkness of the world. So it's going to be really great to see Ezekiel, somebody who's very opposite to that, try and kind of bring her back, show that she's not too far gone and that she can live, and then maybe the two of them be in a relationship. So my understanding of it is her seeing the darkness of the world, seeing the people who become the zombies, and not just seeing them as faceless zombies that are just like out there, but seeing them as actually the tragedy that is the people, as so many of the people that she cares about have died and are now walkers or are dead totally. Next one we have from, it'd be cool to see like maybe some kind of flashback of Sophia or something. That'd be cool to see. They did do the child zombie there in season 5, which was pretty cool for Carol. That could have added impact as well too. So there's other things they can do, I think. A lot of options with so many seasons of The Walking Dead. A. Marie says, hey Trev, how do you think the Alexandrians will react when Rick and company return and give them the information, give them the news about Negan? So, they're probably not going to take it too well. I mean, learning that Rick and the group lost, number one, is bad. Learning that they were forced to surrender or die, also bad. And learning that now they have been conquered by Negan and the Saviors. How could you take that news well in any way? I mean, Spencer and the others, they're probably going to be really pissed. They're going to be confused. They're not going to understand it. And they're just going to be like, wow, this sucks. And they're probably going to blame Rick and the others for what happened. But really, no matter which way you go, when you encounter an army like that, I mean, what are you going to do? Manpower is just, when you have that many more people on your side that Negan does with the Saviors, that is really hard to combat. And the last one will be from Aaron G. He says, hey Trev, do you think Daryl will attempt suicide being the reason Negan killed Glenn? And Norman Reedus did talk about this on Talking Dead, that he does assume all responsibility for that. I don't think so. I don't blame him personally, and I don't think he could really blame himself. He got caught up in the heat of the moment. Negan was being even more cruel than is reasonable to Rosita. He defended her, and he defended the group, and did what he usually does all the way through, which has worked up until now, and it just didn't work this time. So maybe he might blame himself a little bit. He might feel a little guilty, but I don't think he's going to attempt suicide. I think that he'll probably fight it a lot. He'll fight the transformation, and then eventually he'll kind of give in, and maybe Negan will let him go back to Alexandria. Maybe not. Maybe he'll decide, hey, this guy's too dangerous. Actually, I want him. Let's make him a savior. I like this guy. This guy is special, So we'll see what happens with that. I would not be surprised if Daryl became one of the saviors and Negan took him for his own, because he sees just how tough Daryl is, and how little he can survive on, and what he can do. His skills are pretty amazing. Let me know what you guys think about all these awesome questions today, especially what do you think about Ben and his dad? Do you think that Negan did in fact Lucille his father or not? Write your comments below. If you guys like this video today, please thumb it up below. You can also share. You can favorite. And if you're new, you want to subscribe, bother to subscribe. So for this video, guys, we'll see you again soon. As always, it's Trev. I'm saying peace. Later, guys. See you soon.